Hello everybody, Marty McConnell, the Off-Grid Gecko here, and today we're going to be learning a new plant. Doesn't that sound like fun? Bittercress is a type of mustard, and it was originally brought over here to the States from Europe, but now it's kind of just an invasive weed in a lot of places, and it's raining even though there's not a cloud in the sky. That's kind of weird. But anyways, it's got these weird looking lobey kind of leaves. I'll show you a close-up of those in a little bit. And it's got these bright yellow flowers, and if you look closely at the flowers, what you'll notice is each flower has 4 little petals. Okay, and these are kind of in the shape of a cross, roughly, and that's why they call it a cress. The seeds, after the flowers drop off, form on these little pods. I don't know if you can see this or not, but it's just like a little stick coming out of the side, and that'll form a little tube full of mustard seeds, basically. And so this is one variant of mustard. What? And then, yeah, so you can eat these. After they go to flower, they say they're a little bitter. To be honest, they're always a little bitter. I've never had one that's not at least a little bit bitter. And that comes from this. Anytime you have a dark green kind of leaf, usually that's going to be a slightly bitter type of green. So you can take the leaves and these flower heads and just cook them in water for like, 5 or 6 minutes or whatever. Just enough to boil them, and it'll get some of that bitterness out, and then you can change the water if you want to. You can boil them again, or you can let them cool down and then use them for salad greens. They also have some medicinal purposes, but I don't have any information on that because I just eat them. So the leaves are like a salad green, and then these top parts are actually almost like a little cauliflower, the flower buds. So you can eat both the flowers and the leaves, or so I'm told. So I'm going to harvest a bunch of these guys today and strip all the leaves off and make me a nice little salad for tonight. Found out why it's raining. There's a thunderstorm blowing in that was on the other side of the house. So I've also been picking these things today. I don't know exactly what they are, but the leaves kind of taste like an oxeye daisy. And just going to toss them in here too. These actually maybe like a smaller version of the cress, but I don't think they are because they have a different flower head. They look a lot like an oxeye daisy, but they're a little short and they're a little bit early. So anyways, just picking the leaves off of these and taking all this stuff and tossing it in the salad. Now these flower heads, a note on this, if you like raw broccoli, yes, not cauliflower, but broccoli, these guys, they don't really have a bitter taste at all, and they taste just like broccoli. Almost like a more flavorful kind of broccoli. So they do have a little bit of a weird after note. It's kind of like they call it stinky broccoli, and probably for a reason. Wintercress, or bittercress, is also known as wintercress, or in this area, yellow rocket. And I don't know why they call it yellow rocket. I assume because it comes up so fast and it just kind of appears out of nowhere. It grows kind of like a rocket takes off. But these guys are known for overwintering, and they've even been known to grow under snow cover and still be green in the wintertime. So very popular in the east. They're everywhere and they just thrive. In this area, they're kind of hit and miss. They'll take over pastures though, just because they reseed so easily. But yeah, if you get the little bitty buds, they have most of the broccoli flavor in them. I think it's the flower heads that actually, like when they bloom, they give them a little stinky aftertaste. But still good, edible source of nutrition. And in times like the current thing that we're going through, something to keep in mind, that you can find nutrition almost anywhere. You find these growing on the side of the road just about everywhere this time of year. Just don't confuse them with those poisonous buttercup things, because that wouldn't be good. While we're on about poisonous stuff, oh, here's one. If you know what Queen Anne's lace looks like, This is a wild carrot. Okay. It's also known as Queen Anne's lace. The carroty flavor is in the leaves, and carrots were actually originally cultivated for like an herb. So they were grown for their leaves and not necessarily for their root like modern carrots. These are still very edible, both the root. I'd pass on the root, but as a herb, like these little things. There is one thing to keep in mind though. If you don't know the difference between hemlock and wild carrot or Queen Anne's lace, probably a good idea to leave these things alone until you can positively ID them. They're not that hard to tell apart. These have little hairy stems and the leaves look different, but people confuse them all the time. They also confuse them with this guy right here. This is Yarrow, and you see how it looks kind of feathery versus big leafy. This I wouldn't eat, but you can put this on a wound and it acts as like a anti whatever. It'll keep your wound from getting infected and help it heal a little faster. And if you crush it up, it has a very hospital kind of smell to it, almost like Vicks Vapor Rub. Well, maybe not like Vicks Vapor Rub, but it definitely has a very clinical smell to it. So when you crush the leaves, you can identify these guys almost immediately. So the wild carrots, I'm going to go ahead and toss this in here because you can cook these right alongside. And it's easier to peel the leaves off of them too. Grab some more off that one. But these guys are very, very good, and they'll add like a little carroty flavor to your salad. So that's a little bit different. What else? I managed to scrape up some of these. Wild garlic, you may know them better as wild onions. These things grow everywhere in the Midwest, and you can use them the same as chives. I won't put that in while I'm boiling this stuff up, but I'll chop these up and throw them in the salad when I'm done cooking it. But other than that, I got a big old pile of these guys. Sometimes they're mistakenly called wild pepper, which is a name reserved for another species. So don't really want to get those confused. But for the most part, a cress is a cress. They're all peppery, and they all have a lot of the same qualities. So I don't think there's many things you can confuse this with unless you're just going off the yellow color. And then those little buttercup things, I forget what they're called. Those are definitely not good. So before you start wild foraging, it's always a good idea to check and see what kind of poisonous plants look like the plants that you're trying to forage. Or better yet, just learn the poisonous plants first, and then you know what to avoid. Kitty, it's my salad. And there's our little soupy cooking. And the leaves are just going to get greener and a little bit more yummy-licious. And it's releasing an interesting aroma into the air. And then I've got my little chives in there from the peppers. This guy's already boiling, so I'm just going to go ahead and shut him off. And then I can enjoy my meal as soon as it cools down. A little bit of salt. I usually like a lot of salt. And you got you a tasty afternoon snack. Salad greens. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll be eating more interesting and flavorful wild foods.